Okay, this is Brenda. This is part 13 of my triple negative breast cancer journey. This will probably be my last part, but if you have any questions or if there's anything you would like me to delve into, I'm more than happy to share my experience. And so I've talked about how I found the lump, what I went through to get diagnosed, what I went through with my family, what my chemo journey was. I did have one delay in treatment, and that's because I developed pneumonia. And then I also had that delay in treatment when my port had to be changed. Other than that, though it was miserable and uncomfortable and all of that, I made it through chemo. I did not have to have radiation because I opted for a double mastectomy and it hadn't spread in my lymph nodes. So since I did a double mastectomy, I only had to do chemo. I didn't have to do radiation. If I'd done a lumpectomy, and this again was 13 years ago, so things may have changed. If I'd done a lumpectomy or if it was in my lymph nodes, then I would also have to have radiation. So I was fortunate in that. I probably completed chemo, it was late April, early May. And I felt pretty bad at that point. I had no energy. I was dealing with a lot of, I don't know if depression's the right word, but I was definitely very sad. I didn't physically feel well. I didn't look like myself. I didn't like what I was seeing in the mirror, though I quickly learned to embrace it. I had isolated myself during that time. I was struggling at work because by this point I'm already going back to work and they're trying to terminate me. And so there was a lot of undue stress. And so I did decide to pursue my Mary Kay business more intently. And so I went once I made the decision, within 3 months or 4 months, I had become a sales director and earned my first of 7 vehicles. Eventually, I was able to quit my job. Actually, what happened was all my clients that I was coding for decided to take it in-house to save money, and my only other option was to come in-house and work in the office as opposed to work from home, and so I just sent them the stuff back. But there was about a 3-month period from the time I finished chemo until I felt somewhat human. I wouldn't say I ever felt normal because normal changed after that. I did opt not to do reconstructive surgery right away. I actually waited 5 years because the reoccurrence rate for triple negative breast cancer is a lot higher in the first 5 years, and then it kind of goes down. Oops, sorry, to the average population's reoccurrence. I did make the decision to do implants because more than anything, just so that I could wear tops more comfortably, I was wearing prosthetics. And I was always self-conscious of my neckline, and I don't care so much about my scars showing. It was more like with a prosthetic, the way it was put in to my bra, if I bent over, it sagged. You could see everything. So anyway, I was just very self-conscious. So at 5 years, I did opt to do implants, and because I'd waited so long, I had to leave the expanders in longer than usual because there's muscle memory, and it had to retrain that muscle to, otherwise, as soon as you take the expander out, everything just kind of pushes back in. It really was not, the fills of the expanders were not as bad as everyone had led me to believe they were. I mean, I could feel it. It felt like pressure, but it really wasn't that bad. And so I started that process, I believe, in the winter, and it was June when I actually had completed. I think I took about 6 months. And then in late June, I had the expanders taken out and the implants put in. I'll be totally honest, I don't like how they look. I'm not pleased at all with the surgery, but the reason why I did it, it's serving it for that purpose. Um, it definitely gave me a new appreciation for life and the valuableness of it. and the importance of living your priorities, your faith, your morals. And though I am a very loyal worker and I'm a hard worker, I realize my loyalty does not belong to my employer. My loyalty belongs to my faith and my family. And so that kind of helped clarify as different decisions needed to be made over the years. I did go through this season where I resented being called a breast cancer survivor. There for a while, every time someone introduced me, oh, and this is Brenda, and she's a breast cancer survivor. And it just rubbed me wrong for a while because I'm like, that's not what defines me. I am so much more than a breast cancer survivor. I yeah, I'm a I was that time, I think I still had my nursing license. I'm like, I'm a registered nurse, and now I'm a licensed esthetician. I'm a wife. I'm like, breast cancer doesn't define me. After I got past that season of life, I now embrace it. It still isn't what defines me, but I acknowledge it is a big piece of what has shaped me to be the person I am today. I do have a passion for helping those that need help or want help. Like, I'm not going to go throw myself on someone when I hear they have breast cancer, because I may not be that person that they need to hear from or bond with. I still have a few people that, specifically survivors that went through a similar journey that I went through, that I will, every now and then just touch base with them and go, I'm dealing with this. What about you? Memory was definitely a huge issue after chemo. It still is to a degree. You adapt. And so I use notes on my phones. I use reminders. I set alarm clocks for everything. Everything has a place so I can find it. I'm not specifically like my purse and my keys and things that my phone, but the rest of my stuff is disorganized, but it's organized to me. I know where it's at, that kind of stuff. I'm very thankful that I have lived to see. I have three grandchildren right now. My oldest grandson just turned 16 this weekend, and then my middle grandson is 10 and a half, and then I have a brand new granddaughter that is so precious. And, I wake up every day with a new appreciation for life, and I'm thankful. And I don't take for granted waking up in the morning and saying, God, thank you for another day. But even if that day didn't come, even if he calls me home today, I know I'm ready and I know where I'm going. I will say during my walk, or during that season, I have this amazing Aunt Barbara, and she's always been just a spiritual mentor and someone I've admired her faith. And during that season, I was going through that, but she's like, Brenda, you know where you're going. And I'm like, but I don't want to go there yet. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, I do know where I'm going. So anyway, um, I so back to my appointments, I would get highly anxious about 2 weeks before my appointment. And then when we went from the 3 months, first off, it was hard from going to seeing my doctor every 3 weeks to now every 3 months. And then it went to twice a year. Oh my gosh, that was so hard for me. It was almost like he was my security blanket. I held on to my port for as long as I could. Like, it was also, I don't know, a sense of security for me. My veins were pretty shot. And so I was like, well, at least if I need emergency care, they have this venous access that they can use. Eventually, my doctor made me take it out, and that was sad for me. Um, and then we went to once a year, and I got to see my oncologist for 10 years. And around the time that I hit my 10-year mark, he retired. And that brought up a whole new set of emotions. And I'm like, oh, but I have an amazing primary care doctor, and he listens to me. And when I'm feeling insecure, he talks me through it. I will also say, one of the first things that comes up anytime you have something unusual going on is this cancer? I try not to live in fear. I just try to live in an educated mindset. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this, I don't know, gave you hope. But let me know if you need anything. And I appreciate you for taking the time to watch. Have a great day.